All right, we're going to talk a little Auburn football today with Kevin Scarbinsky, Wes Sinor. Spring football in the books. We're looking ahead to the fall 2017. We're going to play a little game of true or false here, and we're going to start with Kevin. I know you got a good answer for this. I can already see it in your eyes. Auburn, will they pass the ball more than they will run next season? Let's hear it.
Are we talking about Auburn, the Auburn Tigers
The
from Auburn, Alabama?
Yes, on the plains.
The team that lives on the plains?
Yes.
Throwing the ball more than passing the ball. Is this a trick question? Did I miss something? Has Al Borges taken over as head coach? That's the only way that they're going to throw the ball more than they run the ball. Because despite what we saw at the spring game, Gus Malzahn is still the head coach, at least as of this taping, and they are going to run the ball. They still have a guy named Cameron Petway, don't they, coming back?
Yeah, and Kerryon Johnson, and you got Malik Miller, Cam Martin. That stable of running backs that they've got is so good, and they really are just kind of reloading this next season. You know, like you said, Jarrett Stidham, obviously I think they're going to pass more than they did last season, but there's no way that they're going to pass more than they're going to run. I mean, if you look at last year, I think they ran the ball 69% of the time, something like that, with obviously some issues at quarterback. So they'll be passing more, but they won't be passing more.
So is it fair to say it's going to be a balanced offense where they're looking at the 50-50?
Well, I don't know. Let's not get crazy, but it should be more balanced.
It should be.
And the real key for them is not passing more; it's passing better.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have I think that they're going to have a more capable quarterback in Jarrett Stidham back there. Once they finally announce that he's going to be the starter, I think that's going to be, you know, the least shocking announcement at Auburn this
Worst kept secret
offseason.
in college football.
Exactly. And Chip Lindsey wants to be more balanced with it, but I still think they're going to be relying on the run game because they know that what they've got back there in the offensive line for the most part is pretty intact. So I think they'll still be relying on the run.
All right, Wes, I'm going to go to you first. True or false here? Auburn's defense will be as good or better than last year's defense.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna say false, but not. I don't feel like great about it. I mean, obviously losing Carl Lawson and Montravius Adams is huge. You know, when we talk to the players and Kevin Steele especially, he'll say, you know, obviously they've prepared for this, they've recruited for this, they have a plan to kind of replace them. But I just was really impressed with the job that they did last season under Steele in his first season at Auburn, and I think he surprised a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, I think the defensive line is talented. They've got some, you know, obviously Marlon Davidson's back there. They're moving some guys around. They're trying to figure out, you know, where everybody's going to be this spring. The linebackers, for the most part, are pretty much the same, and the secondary's got, you know, some guys coming back from injury. They lost a couple players, like Rudy Ford is a big loss, but I think it'll be close to what it was last year, but maybe not. I think last year's defense is probably going to be better when it's all said and done.
To say this one would be better than last year, they were a top 10 national defense last year. They took such a leap forward from the year before, even though Will Muschamp had them on the right path at the end of his season there as defensive coordinator. It's unlikely they will be better. And Wes, you hit it on the head. I mean, you don't lose guys like Carl Lawson and Montravius Adams who are going to be prominent on NFL Draft Day and in their NFL careers. And then we forget about a guy like Rudy Ford.
Right.
I mean, how many tackles did Rudy Ford make?
Yeah, he led the team in tackles his sophomore and junior season, and he had 60, 70-something tackles last season. So yeah, that's a big loss that a lot of people aren't really talking about that as much with Lawson and Adams. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a good defense, but I don't think it'll be as good.
One way they're better is if the offense controls the ball. You know, they did there in that 6-game winning streak when they were running the ball so well with Cam Petway. If they can do that throughout the season, give the defense more of a break on, you know, keep them on the sideline more, keep them better rested, then they have a chance to be good to start the season and finish the season as well.
And one of the philosophies in talking to Kevin Steele during the spring game is that they want it to be next best man up. So you've got to have 20 and 30 guys ready to go, especially when they're going up against the up-tempo offenses that you're going to see a lot in the SEC. So injuries always play a big factor in that and keeping those guys healthy, which we saw kind of spiral out of control a little bit towards the end of the season for Auburn. So that begs the question. We've always got the Iron Bowl circled on the calendar. Looking ahead to the Iron Bowl, when we get to the Iron Bowl next season, I'll start with you, Kevin, true or false, do they have a chance to win the SEC West when we get to that game next season?
You know, this is a fun fact about Gus Malzahn and his 4 full seasons at Auburn so far. 3 of those 4 years, when November began, they were in the national championship hunt. Now, they continued it in 2013 and obviously got to the BCS championship game. They didn't finish in 2014, and they didn't finish last year. Injuries, as you mentioned, played a big part in that. I'm going to be optimistic at the risk of being called a Barner, but I get called a Barner and a Bammer every day, so why should today be any different? So I'm going to be optimistic and say that, yes, the Iron Bowl will be the SEC West Championship game. It's only happened one time in 2013. And it turned out to be a pretty good game.
I remember vividly you being, it's going to be the mother, the brother of all mothers of Iron Bowls.
No, the grandfather of all.
Thank you for acknowledging that I was the one who coined the phrase, the mother of all Iron Bowls. And then I tried to come back with the son of the mother of all Iron Bowls, and it just didn't really work out that way.
It feels like yesterday we were standing on the field talking about that leading into the Iron Bowl.
Yes, yes. Occasionally I get one right. But this is going to happen again. I'm calling it right now.
So what are we calling it? The mother, the son of the mother?
Son of the mother of all Iron Bowls?
Okay,
I'll work on something better than that.
I'm going to agree with you. I mean, you look at last season, they finished 8-5, but if that team goes and beats Georgia like they should have, even with an injured Shaun White and a Cameron Petway, should have beaten Georgia. And if they had done that, then it would have set up a winner-take-all Iron Bowl.
Yes.
And it's crazy to think because Auburn and Alabama, were obviously up and down. Oh, well, Auburn was up and down last season because they started off unranked and then they got up to I think number 9 in the polls, and then obviously dropped off toward the end, whereas Alabama was more consistent. But it's just crazy to think that was very close to happening last year. So I mean, I expect Auburn to have a better team this season. I expect the offense to be a lot better. Like I said, I think the defense is going to be about on par to what it was last year. So I think it's very possible that Auburn could enter that game with a chance to make it back to Atlanta.
And of course, there's so many moving parts, but I think there's just a little inch one way or an inch another that could be a 10-win season for Auburn, 10 or better. So it'll be interesting to see. Of course, Kevin Scarbinsky, Wes Sinor, thank you so much. We're counting down to kickoff already, and I know it's only the spring. For all your Auburn Tiger updates, you can visit us on AL.com.